The number one takeaway is that people are watching, waiting, thinking, but not acting yet. It's still too early for that in most cases. I would say the second thing that they're doing, and some of them are doing it formally and some are doing it informally, is scenario planning. So what ifs? And I would say that there's a category of companies who were hurt by tariffs in 2017 and 18, and they have a playbook, and they're going to the playbook, and that playbook includes you might call it a war room, right? A cross-functional crisis management team, which we've seen in other occasions. And they're then now going down the checklist, and still at this point preparing, but still being very, very ready to act based on what they've already gone through because their company happens to be extremely exposed. So you have companies like that, and then I would say, any other company that either because of past experience or because of their business, the nature of their business, they know they're very exposed. They're watching more carefully and have created these formal cross-functional teams. And then you have other companies that maybe have a much broader base of business and are not so obviously vulnerable. They need to wait and find out to what extent their company is going to be vulnerable before they make decisions. A third thing I would say is that in that category of people who have suffered and where they had a solution that allowed them to change sourcing. We did hear from one company on the commodities call yesterday that they are prepared now to switch sourcing because they've done it before. They know how to do it. It's never pleasant or easy, but they can do it, and it's relatively painless, let's say, and it will be relatively seamless to their customers. We heard from one company that has virtually all of its revenue from the US government. And that company is lucky because so far their individual department clients inside the US government are not affected. They tend to work for others, other departments that seem to be protected by the politics of the new administration. So their main concern right now, until that were to change, their main concern is to focus on the payments because they get payments, lots and lots of payments every day from the federal government. And so they're watching to make sure that there's no degradation in the quality of payments that comes from the changes that DOGE seems to be implying that it wants to make to the US Treasury's payment system. Some sort of a modernization. So that's what they're doing. And then they're also, because the government is basically their only client, they're also quite willing to go along with whatever the new administration wants to do, even if it means sort of like an experiments or beta things, because they understand that, they have to change too. The government's changing, that's their client, they have to change too. There's a subset of members that we heard from that have set up Slack channels so that when they get information either from their government affairs team in Washington or from banks or law firms or other expert outsiders, they're depositing that information into a shared Slack channel or something similar to that so that everybody in the working group can share the information. So, we hope that if Neu Group is needed in the future, we're going to be able to do the same thing to get members together to sort of talk about things. But members are doing that with written documents in that way so that they can share the wealth that they receive from outside experts.